Okay.
You need to really work on just like maybe not touching the microphone.
I need something. My pen. Okay. My pen. Make sure it's fine. I'm a fidgeter. I'm a fidgeter by nature. I cannot help who I am.
I gotta be able to fidget.
Look, I'm fidgeting. Look, see, now I'm self-conscious about my fidgeting. It's fine.
Fidget. You were just about to touch the mic, weren't you? Welcome to A Spirited Life. I'm Mark.
I'm Christine.
This week we're going to be talking about spring cleaning and how that relates to living a spirited life. We're also going to be talking about getting ready for new seasonal activities.
Our whiskeys of the week are going to be whiskeys that we'll be finishing off as part of our spring cleaning, and we'll talk about what filled our spirit this week.
We want to live a spirited life. We're documenting our journey towards financial independence while balancing that with living in the present and enjoying our time in the journey. While we want to work towards financial independence, there's no guarantee for what tomorrow will bring. So we don't want to wait to enjoy our lives because tomorrow isn't promised. We want to share our journey to help keep ourselves intentional and accountable, and we invite you to come along with us as we work towards living a spirited life. So every week we like to select a whiskey that's associated with the topic for the week. And this week, since we're talking about spring cleaning, we have several bottles that are ripe for getting rid of as a part of spring cleaning and finishing off. These whiskeys we have been working down and getting ready to finish off. And we have a few of them that are pretty much ready to go. So as a part of our spring cleaning, as a part of cleaning some of these things up, we're going to go ahead and have a few of these. We'll do some light reviews as we're talking through spring cleaning. And things like that. So which one were you thinking about having?
I would like to start off with the Magi, please.
You want to go ahead and have the Magi. Okay. This is the Magi. It is blended rye whiskeys that were finished in port and sherry casks.
America. Did you want some?
Actually, I don't know that that's American. Yes, I will take
what
some
kind
of
of? It's distilled in Canada and Indiana, so.
So.
Yeah, no, I can't say it's all American, but it is from Iowa. And what is more American than Iowa?
Canada?
What's a better version of America? No, America.
No, you said it's
no,
Canadian
it's
and Indiana. And
that's American because it's North America. Because we were in Mexico, they got really mad when we said we were Americans because they're also from America.
That's true. It is technically
so yes,
still
it is America.
American, yeah, North American. Go ahead and finish this off. So this is a blend of a couple different rye whiskeys. It's actually 6-year and 21-year rye. The 6-year rye is an MGP rye, and the 21-year rye is a Palliser rye whiskey. And those were finished in port and sherry casks. So I think we'll go ahead and just do a quick little review on this. Again, we'll probably delve into at least one of these other bottles while we're sitting here talking, but
I get the port and sherry influence really quickly on the nose.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, and there's the rye mint.
Definitely has a little bit of spiciness, a little bit of rye mint. Going in back for a sniff after the first sip.
I don't know what happened there.
You're right there.
My body decided to try to kill me.
Your body's like, no.
I don't know what happened. I'm fine. Yeah. Thanks, Gene.
So yeah, definitely now that I've had the kind of the first sip and everything like that, getting a little bit more of the minty rye on this. Some good spiciness overall. Mm-hmm. I don't think that the finishing overshadows anything.
No.
In terms of it doesn't, the other flavors are still presenting themselves pretty well, but it does add a little bit more character and a little bit more depth to it. Mm-hmm. Definitely has a little bit of burn. This one is a little bit higher. This particular release of the Magi was 53.5 percent alcohol by volume. Still really enjoyable. And produced by Cat's Eye Distillery, Gene Nassif. There is a new version of this that's available for 2023, 2024, which is similar, but probably a little bit different because it's not exactly the same whiskey.
Different. I know it has Polish rye in it. I'm very excited to get me a bottle.
Yeah. But overall, really enjoyable. Mm-hmm. Nice little combination rye here of Canadian and Indiana rye.
It's got the hot, but it's spicy and the minty. Mm-hmm. I enjoy it very much.
All right. So let's talk a little bit about spring cleaning. And what does spring cleaning have to do with living a spirited life. When you think about spring cleaning, when you think
Mm-hmm.
about, and you think about living a spirited life, like how do those two things connect? How do those two things work together for you?
So for me, spring cleaning, I like to declutter. I'm not a collector.
Mm-hmm.
I don't like a lot of clutter.
Okay.
And then, so obviously, we live in the northern hemisphere. So winter is kind of a stay indoors type thing, and everything piles up.
Mm-hmm.
So for me, spring cleaning is a time for me really just to root through all my stuff. So
Yeah.
for me, spring cleaning is really time after winter is to declutter, to get rid of a lot of the stuff that has stayed in the house just due to it being gross, and I don't like to go outside in the winter. And in that, it kind of like refreshes everything. It gets me ready for the next season. It gets me ready for the garden and for our hobbies. It's kind of a reset moment,
Mm-hmm.
which then in a reset, it really helps me to live my spirited life because I kind of reevaluate things, take stock of what we have, what we don't have, what I want to get rid of, what I want to add into my life, and kind of go forward that way.
Yeah, I would say that in the wintertime, I think we are a little bit more hibernal. We are a little bit more, things are a little bit slower for us personally. We're not like super outdoorsy in the wintertime. Like we don't go out
We don't ski.
skiing or winter hiking or really anything like that. Now we will go out if it's like, it may be cold, but we're not trying to go out and do like snow-based activities. And we usually are spending more time inside.
Mm-hmm.
And so just naturally, I think that there's a certain amount of, for lack of a better word, kind of detritus that starts to build up a little bit because, as you said, we're not necessarily cleaning as much. We're in terms of like purging and clearing out some of the things.
I have a question.
Okay, go ahead.
What does detritus mean?
So detritus is like a buildup of like dirt or grime or other type things. You know what? Let's go ask the Google for the official definition. Let's find out. Let's find out what it says. What does detritus mean? No, not detritus. What does detritus mean? What does detritus mean? No, you had it and you lost it. And now you're recording that. Detritus. Okay. After 4 times I had to get Google tagged. I had to type in detritus because it didn't understand what detritus was. Detritus, waste or debris of any kind. So,
Oh, okay. Okay.
yeah.
It's a fancy way of saying waste or
It
debris.
is, yeah.
Of all my crap.
Yes, pretty much. So anyway, yeah, that it's just kind of the buildup of stuff that maybe we're not getting rid of as much, those kinds of things. And so, spring cleaning, it gives you that opportunity to do that reset. It gives you that opportunity to take a look and go, okay, hey, are there some things that we've just kind of let pile up because we haven't been as diligent? Maybe we have been a little bit more slower going, a little bit more hibernal, those kinds of things.
Mm-hmm.
And it's that opportunity to go through all of that stuff, get everything kind of cleaned and organized and, purge all that stuff that you don't really want or don't really need. Those
With
types
some
of things.
mindful intention into what you're doing or what you plan on doing.
Correct. And so connecting that back to being able to be mindful about what you're keeping in your life. And clutter has been shown to actually weigh on people's minds and actually can be a detriment to your everyday life. And that's one of the things that I struggle with because as you're not a collector and a keeper of things, I very much am more a collector and keeper of things. So I have a hard time purging and throwing things away and asking the question, oh, do I need to do some of, like, do I need to keep some of this? Those types of things. Sorry, you keep on making eye motions and things like that, and I'm not sure how to read that.
I'm sorry, there's a floaty in my thing. It's been bothering me.
Okay, do you need to fish that out?
Yeah.
Okay, you can go ahead and fish that out.
Maybe, I don't know if I can. Okay.
Do you want to use my pen?
Oh.
No? You want to use your pen?
Yeah.
Okay. Is it going to hurt you? Is it?
I don't know. Is it detritus?
You've got some detritus in your whiskey.
I got it.
Okay.
Out. Thank you.
Good. Yeah.
It was like a little
floaty.
floaty of some sort.
So I think another thing is it gives you that opportunity to reset. It gives you that opportunity to start fresh, to start anew. And really, to your point, set an intention about how you want things to go. We'll talk a little bit about what's called the 5S method that actually helps with a little bit of that and connects a little bit more into that. But anything else from your perspective about spring cleaning and how that is helping us live a spirited life?
No, mine's pretty vague. Is there anything particular that you go into other than kind of the 5S's and kind of how do you, because you have the more of the collector brain that where mine, I could throw away half of what I have and I don't really care.
Yeah.
So I'm curious how you look at it, how it goes through your brain compared to mine.
I think it really is about that intentionality and thinking about, okay, spending some time doing some consideration and what you want to keep in your life and what you want to maybe purge or get rid of because it no longer has value or it no longer offers you the value that it used to. I think being able to take a moment to intentionally go through and sort some of those things and put things into or keep things in your life that you want there like that are adding value and almost, to some degree, like Marie Kondo, does this bring you joy? If it doesn't, do you still need it in your life anymore? If not, thank it very much and off you go. Right. So it is doing that intentionally and mindfully. And then also being able to say, hey, does this have value to me anymore? Or is this a distraction? Is this something that actively maybe takes away from my quality of life? Is this something that actively makes things worse? And maybe it's not one thing here, one thing there, but it could be the culmination of all of those things together that actually just makes things a less than good experience for your life. So we're going to talk a little bit about a handy little thing that people can use to understand about how to approach spring cleaning or really kind of cleaning and organizing and keeping everything in order in their lives. And it's a thing known as the 5 S's. And so the 5 S's are sort, set in order, shine, standardize, and sustain. And so it's like a handy little, I forget the word for that.
It's not an acronym.
It's not an acronym. It's a handy,
Memory trick.
Detritus. It's a handy mnemonic. I think mnemonic is the word I'm looking for. Let's consult Google again and let's find out if that's what we want to look for. What does the word mnemonic mean?
Johnny Mnemonic?
Mnemonic is a device or pattern of letters, ideas, or associations that assist in remembering something. For example, Richard of York gave battle in vain for the colors of the spectrum: red, orange, yellow, green, blue,
Roy
indigo,
G.
and violet.
Biv, what's this Richard of York thing?
I have no idea.
Did you get like English Google?
I don't know. I'm reading the definition that it has here.
My mother just served us 9 pizzas. Mercury, Venus, Earth. No. Yeah, Mercury, Venus.
Venus? Well, that mnemonic seems to be working really well.
Mercury, it's the planets. Yeah, my mother.
I know. Yeah.
And then there's no pizza though because Pluto is no longer a planet.
It's a dwarf planet now. So
I'm a dwarf person.
Yeah. So yeah. So 5 S's it's a handy little mnemonic, and so it is sort, set in order, shine, standardize, and sustain. And these 5 things are done in conjunction with each other to kind of help keep things organized. Usually, in a lot of cases, it's talked about as far as like in a workplace. So the concept in restaurants where chefs talk about their mise en place, everything's in its place, and it is the same type of thing, but this one is kind of easy to remember because like the first 3 is that I want to sort, I want to set in order, and then I want to shine things. So those first 3 are kind of the first activities that you do. And really that's what a lot of people think of when they think of like spring cleaning or those types of things, is like, okay, I'm going to sort through everything, and I'm going to sort into like keep piles or throwaway piles, or I'm going to sort this into different types of categories of where they go or where I'm going to keep this different types of material, right? And then there's set in order, and set in order is like, okay, where does everything go? Where does everything belong?
Where's your place?
Right. Where is your place? And everything ideally should have a place where that's going to live so that you don't end up with just stuff everywhere. And I'm guessing like in your work, you probably have a lot of this too, like where you keep things sorted and organized, you keep things in particular places so you know where to go get them. Does that make a lot of sense as far as for your work?
Oh, for work, yeah, obviously, yeah. We have paperwork, we have child's things, we have food, we have all sorts of different things that we need to make sure they're in a set place so we can find them in an instant when we need them.
Yeah. And then shine, I know this one applies a lot to, which is making sure that you take the time to go and clean everything and make sure that everything is cleaned up and that there is not that detritus of dust or dirt or grime or whatever that's starting to build up. Again, probably pretty relevant to your work life.
Because of cooties. Yes.
Yeah, because of lots of cooties.
We have to clean often.
So those first three, sort, set in order, and shine, those are the ones that are kind of the first action that you're doing and the actions that you're going to do regularly. And again, a lot of folks probably have experienced that in some way, shape, or form when they go through and they organize their closet, when they go through or at work, knowing where to go to find, to your point, where's the cleaning supplies, where do we keep all the paperwork, all those types of things. So those are the first three that you do kind of on a regular basis, is that sort, set in order, and shine. And so I'm going to kind of get things into different piles or into different areas. I'm going to get those into their place, and then I'm going to clean up, and I'm going to make sure that I spend the time kind of cleaning and keeping things tidy and organized. The fourth one, standardize, that one is more around, hey, how do we do this on a regular basis? So how am I going about making sure that I'm actually spending time sorting and setting things in order and shining them consistently and regularly? And so how am I starting to do that in a more standard or more regular way where it starts to become a pattern?
And I feel like that's kind of where we're at for our stuff in the most place. And I think that's really what's going to help us live our spirited life and do other things, is when we have that standard, that set routine, we're spending less time sorting, organizing, and cleaning.
Right.
So then we can spend more time exploring and doing all these other hobbies or other things that come up. We don't have to start back at one with sorting. So that's really where I'm at right now, and where I really want to focus on to help us continue to live our spirited life and enjoy some of our hobbies and different activities that happen to come up.
Yeah. It frees you up to focus on the things that you want to do, because you don't have to spend as much time doing all of the sorting and organizing and everything like that. If you take the time to do that sorting, setting in order, and shining the way that you're supposed to on that regular cadence. And then that's where the fifth one kind of comes in too, is also the sustaining. And I think that really connects to a lot of what you're talking about, is once you do that on a regular basis, once that is something that is a regular cadence and you're keeping everything done, it is sustaining that pattern and it's making that just a part of your way of living that actually allows you to take advantage of it the way that you're describing.
Yeah. So once we get our standard, everything set in place, and then we sustain it, it should take minimal time to keep everything in order and not get a lot more detritus stuff around the house.
Yep.
Sorry, that's my new word of the week.
Yep.
So then less of our time is put into cleaning and organizing. We just maintain the standard that we set up, which should hopefully be minimal compared to what we would normally do, which then frees us up for other things.
Absolutely. And admittedly, I think there's some areas that I still can improve on that, and I can be better. And I see you trying really hard not to laugh and not to crack up. But there are some areas that I have actually done a pretty good job of that in terms of having some sorting and setting in order and even just keeping things clean. I think like in the kitchen where we put a lot of the stuff up on the walls, and we like a lot of our pans and things like that. For those of you who have seen how Julia Child has her kitchen set up, where she actually has like the pegboards up on the walls to hang all the pans. everything is all up in a particular spot. It belongs in a particular place, and you know where it goes. And when you're done using it, it just goes right back up on the wall. It's readily visible. It's readily available. You know where to go find it. But putting it up on the walls that way actually keeps it from getting cluttered, being on the countertops or those types of things.
Just piling up.
In the cabinets piling up. Absolutely. So that's one area that I think we've done a pretty good job. I would say also with like the garage outdoors, we've done a good job as far as like with the tools and the bikes, and even having, some of the other areas where we've got like the drinks cabinet and those kinds of things. And your gardening supplies, everything has a place where it goes.
Yes.
And so it keeps everything pretty tidy and pretty organized out there, which makes it easier to know, hey, when I'm done using this and I go to put something back, I know where it goes. It just goes right back into that spot. It goes to that place that I've already taken the time to sort and put it in order, so I know where it goes, and then I can clean up around that thing and do that consistently.
Well, then that'll go into what we're talking about later too, about prepping for our seasonal activities.
Yes, absolutely.
It already puts us a step ahead instead of having to start all over and figure out where everything is or what I'm missing, what I have, whatever. So that helps that way.
Yeah, absolutely. So one of the areas of opportunity that I know that we did have that you had just done a lot of work around was in the living room, and we had actually just rearranged a few things. And I really feel like over time, as we've changed a few things out, we've changed some of the furniture out in there, which actually works a little bit better in the space. We've also changed out the way that we were doing some of the book storage, and we moved that from one side of the room to the other. And then we also sorted some of our exercise equipment on the other side of the room, made sure that had its own place. I feel like that room has really kind of come into its own a little bit more over time, but everything there kind of has its place now. The Explorer's Lounge, I feel like, is a work in progress, but has gotten a lot better.
I feel like it's 90% there.
It is 90% there.
I feel like it's 90% there, minus extra bottles that might make its way into the household. Right.
Well, I mean, I think the number one thing that we have to figure out in there is our floor whiskey. So,
which is now minimal.
We definitely are getting that down, and like these bottles here actually represent a concerted effort to start to try to finish some of our bottles off to allow us to have more room and be able to get some of that whiskey up off the floor. So I think we're down to about 10 bottles of floor whiskey.
I think so, but I think half of it is because I'll take ownership for this because I'm very particular about certain things in certain areas. So we have extra Irish that I like to keep by the Irish.
Right.
We don't have more shelving there. So in theory, I could find other places for those bottles to go off the floor, but I want them to stay in their Irish brethren place.
Right. You want those to be sorted together.
Yes.
And
so
then you want
I'm
them
willing
to be set in order.
Yeah. So I'm willing to accept that that's where it is. But it's in a way that is not taking over the room.
Yeah.
So sometimes you have to make compromises. Is that what the word's called?
I think that's what that's called. Yeah.
Yeah. To do it. So, but I think honestly, I mean the living room. I'll just step back on that. It was a process and an evolution, and I think in that a lot of times we had to go through different ways to actually see what worked.
Yep.
Instead of just jumping to it and being like, I'm moving it here, this works, kind of play with it and then finally get it to a place where it is, I think for the most part, in its final sorted and shined place.
I think it's in a good spot now. I think the big one, and this will always be the outlier, is going to be my office. And
I think the bedroom too, though.
The bedroom a little bit. There's definitely a few things that we need to go through at the bedroom because there's stuff that I think didn't get taken care of in the fall that we just need to go through and sort through and then maybe purge some of those things. My office actually is probably 75%. It's really just the things that are on the floor. And that looks like a doubting face.
No, it is the things on the floor. I agree. Okay. I'm just.
Oh, you're trying not to be judgy.
I'm enjoying this Magi very much. Thank you very much.
Try not to be judgy. That's fair.
It's hey, our agreement was stuff in your office as long as it doesn't overflow out of your office. It's not my problem.
Right. So, But I would like to reclaim some of that space in the office. And so that will be something that I'll be looking at over the coming weeks, along with some of the storage down here in the basement. For those of you that don't know, I was a Funko Pop collector for a while. And I'm planning on going through and actually really downsizing my Funko collection that I have as a part of that, because right now it does represent things that at one time really brought me a lot of joy in my life, and they still do to some degree, but I do need to downsize, and I do need to get rid of some of those. So because they're just not adding as much value to my life as I think I would like them to anymore. And so it becomes an opportunity for me to say, okay, let's go ahead and make a decision. And frankly, maybe even just sell off the whole collection or a good part of the collection to somebody. And, from a financial perspective, I'll probably end up taking a loss on those. But what I end up gaining is not having that worry, not having those things taking up space in my mind and becoming clutter and being in the way.
Mm-hmm. Well, I was also going to, at our basement, I think is our last area that we haven't even, that is the area of beginning at the sorting, setting in place, and shining.
Yeah. There is definitely some opportunities in the basement. There's definitely...
I mean, that's why there's basements, because that's where all the stuff goes.
That's true. But your basement can still, be sorted and set in order. And we've done some work on that. I would say it's probably about 50% of the way there. But there's still opportunities to clear some things out and get things a little bit more clean and organized and really the way that we want it to, so that it becomes a really functional space for us.
I do think I think it's really the last place in the house that we really have to put that extra effort to. And then I think we'll be on a very good place.
Yeah. And it's frankly easy to ignore because we don't spend a ton of our time in our basement. So it's like, okay,
unless
things
there's
go down
tornado
there.
sirens.
Yes.
We don't come to film.
Yeah. And so therefore, like, it naturally is a little bit easier for us to ignore it. So I think, in the coming weeks here, we'll start to get some of that stuff taken care of. We'll apply the first 3 S's of the 5S, and then we can really start to make sure that we've got a standard way of maintaining that going forward. And then we just have to your point, sustain it so that it doesn't become something that becomes too time consuming overall. Before we move on to the last part of our topic, we're going to pick one more bottle that we're going to delve into here. I think I'm going to go ahead and go with the Woodford Double Oak. Do you want the Woodford Double Oak, or do you want the...
No, it's fine. I'll have the Wild Turkey Kentucky Spirit single barrel.
Okay.
Straight bourbon whiskey.
Okay. I'm going to have the Woodford Double Oak, which is 45.2% alcohol by volume, which is pretty standard for most of the Woodford offerings, is 90.4 proof. This is their double oak product, which means that spent time in a secondary barrel getting finished, which imparts some additional qualities into the whiskey overall.
This bottle was bottled on 1/20/20. What do you want me to say about Kentucky Spirit? It's the spirit of Kentucky.
Yeah, so you're having the Kentucky Spirit there, which is essentially a single barrel version of Wild Turkey 101. Can definitely get some fairly unique bottles if you're able to find that. It's not as widely available as the regular Wild Turkey 101, nor is it nearly as widely available as the Woodford Reserve Double Oaked, which is a regular offering.
They have it like detailed. Like this is from bottle 1082, stored in warehouse A on Rick number 19.
So let's just take a minute. Let's delve in on these real quick. So getting in the nose and mind, a little bit of toastiness, a little bit of marshmallow even, and like it almost becomes a little bit of it reminds me a little bit of like a s'mores.
Oh, I feel like I got the jippy one. No.
You want to try it?
No, it's fine. I'm going to go with my Kentucky Spirit.
Okay. I thought you did not like the Woodford Reserve Double Oaked.
No, but you say marshmallow, toasted marshmallow, and you got me there.
Yeah. That's a note that a lot of people get on a lot of the different toasted or double oak type products.
So it's pretty, I get a little bit of the funk. I don't know how to describe it, but it's like a little bit of a funk. I want to say minerally, but it's not like in my face minerally. I get the corn. Is it more corn? Is it bourbon? Is it a corn
bourbon.
mash?
Yeah.
Because I get like a sweetness to it.
Definitely get some of the extra oakiness from the double oak here. definitely get a little bit more of the char influence, which again lends itself to for any of the double oaked products or toasted type products where people talk about it being like s'mores or more like a campfire or those types of things. There is also a little bit of nice sweetness in there too. That comes through just from the double oak process.
Do you remember when we were younger, the cereal that was like a corn pop? Was it called corn pops? Like
It was
poof
called
corn pops?
Yes, it
like,
was
and they
called
were
corn
like
pops.
big. They weren't like puffed wheat, but they were the. The first sip on this is what I got. It's an alcoholic version of those puffed corn pops. It's very much corn poppy with a little funk thing to it.
Okay.
That is very descriptive. I'm so glad I'm part of a whiskey community.
You know, it is kind of a thing.
Funk, I don't know.
Stuff, whatever, you know.
It's good.
Well, I was going to say, if you're enjoying it, that's the main thing.
Yeah, it's a lot more. Going from the Magi to this, though, this is a lot more mild.
Mm-hmm.
Well, has that less because the Magi has the more spice.
Yeah.
Burnt it. It's kind of like a sweet, alcoholic, funky corn pop.
Okay. That's a really interesting way to describe it. All right, so let's talk about the last portion. Let's talk about getting ready for new seasonal activities and how this relates. So we alluded to a little bit of, hey, we have some organizational things that we've done to put things, to sort them, to set them in order, to make sure that they stay in their place. And we talked a little bit about in the garage and the basement here, we actually have specific places where we put some of our different activity items.
Mm-hmm.
So we actually have a set of shelving that's out in our garage that we use for all of our camping gear. We also have our beach gear and things like that for summertime activities that we keep on the shelves here in the basement.
Mm-hmm.
And that keeps everything in a particular spot until it's really ready to be used once those seasons come about, because of the significant summer-winter difference that we get here. We do have to have different gear for the different seasons. And the nice thing is we can actually change out some of that gear as far as when we put some of the winter gear away, we can pull some of the summer gear out, and it just goes right in the same spot.
Mm-hmm. I have a new, which we've talked about in previous episodes, gardening, seed growing area, plus a workbench for gardening, seed growing, and then other little crafty things that I'd like to do where I want to take like the alcohol bottles and try to make candles out of them. So that's a corner of a basement that is dedicated to different little things that I'm trying to pick up as hobbies.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And so now you've got some of the places specifically for those hobbies. We've got places to store some of those things. And so part of what we did even yesterday is we started going through and just pulling out some of that gear as far as like we're getting ready for our first camp out. And so started pulling things off the shelves, checking in the bins, just seeing that everything was ready to go. You've obviously been using your gardening space to get your garden ready. And how's that been working out for you to have a dedicated space for that, for your hobby, as those seasons start to change and your seasonal activities have been a little bit different, welcoming spring, welcoming summer, getting ready for the growing season?
It's been really good. It's helped me get ready for my garden sooner because now I have an indoor area that has heating mats, grow lights, areas like that where I could start prepping. So it's not all of a sudden like, oh, it's nice. Oh, I got to hurry up and get all this stuff in. So it's helping me learn how to plan ahead and also stage things, which is great because then I move some of the things outside that can handle some of the temperate spring weather. And I'm still being able to grow things in there that need a little bit warmer. So it's really helped me kind of set up, plan, and then kind of keep it going. So it's a continuous process to get my garden up and running.
Yeah. And I will say you've definitely been taking advantage of that additional space and learning and doing a little bit more, getting ready for the season. To your point about, hey, this year you're actually growing straight from seed and getting some of those plants ready. You take them on their little jaunt outside for an hour.
Field trip outside when it's nice, but sometimes they got to come inside because it gets really yucky out.
And so just starting to get those plants a little bit more hardy and ready to go. And I think that's worked out really well for you. I think having a specific place for some of our other like camping activities and things like that, it certainly helps with being able to just go and grab those, and it makes the whole process much easier in terms of we've gone through everything in the fall before we put everything away. we went back through everything, here in the spring just yesterday and made sure, started writing down a list. There was very little that I had to do to kind of re-up. Like we have to get like duct tape and put in some additional garbage
Soap,
bags.
yes, a lot of it's consumables.
But it's little things, right? It's not like we have much to do. And then when we get ready to go camping, we will literally just go grab the bins, put them in the truck, and then we know that we're ready to go because we've already taken the time to make sure that the right material is there that we need to grab. It's all in one spot, and that just makes that whole process so much easier.
It makes the end of camping trips so much easier as well because we're coming home usually on a Sunday. Usually we have to work on Monday. So it's easy just to not think about it and know this bin goes here, this bin goes here. This goes in the house to get washed, and then it goes here. It makes it a lot easier than going, I have all this stuff. I don't know what to do with it. Where do I put it? Is it going to cause a pile of garbage here until I figure out what I'm going to do with it?
Right. Doesn't look like it just got thrown up everywhere. And then all of a sudden, okay, now when I'm looking for this thing the next time that we go camping, I don't have to root and hunt and try to figure out, okay, where the heck did I put that?
So it's almost like we're in a flow.
It is like we have a bit of flow, and we're able to really take advantage of kind of the last two S's where we've standardized things and we have those places where things go. And we're sustaining that now, and we're really reaping the benefits from that. All right, so heading into talking about what filled our spirit this week, my glass is empty because there was not that much Woodford Double Oak left. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to select Eagle Rare as my last pour for the day. Eagle Rare is a minimum 10-year, 90 proof Buffalo Trace offering. Very good whiskey overall. This is their Mash Bill 1. And if you can find it, again, sometimes can be harder to find, but if you can find it, it is just a really nice, good, well-rounded whiskey overall, with a little bit of age on it. I'm getting one of the things that people talk about on the nose sometimes with this is a little bit of a grape note. It actually comes off like a little bit of grape. Sometimes like grape crush.
What's crush?
The pop. Grape crush pop. Like
I did not drink that stuff.
Okay. Yeah. Think of it as like grape pop. Like even Faygo or
Nope.
Okay.
Nope.
Never had that, huh?
No.
Okay. Well, I guess we have a new experience for you at some point in time.
Oh, I'm so excited.
Yep. Good. Nice. Has that nice Buffalo Trace kind of profile. A little bit of age, a little bit of woodiness on it. Pretty approachable. It's only 90 proof. But overall, a really good sip. Getting a little bit of notes of like vanilla and caramel as well. Go back in just for another quick nosing on this. Yep, definitely getting a little bit of that grape pop note.
You can't look at me in the face now and say that now because you're just starting to spark like, oh, you poor child.
I know. How have you never experienced grape pop? I have no idea.
Well, we didn't really have a lot of pop growing up, and artificial grape was not one of my things to go to.
All right, that's fair. I'm going to sip on this while we talk about what filled our spirit this week.
Okay.
Christine, what filled your spirit this week?
This week, I got news that my full-time position was moved up practically a month. So starting the end of April, I will have my full-time position, full-time pay, start to become eligible for benefits, which is awesome because I've had to take different financial routes, kind of budget things differently because I was making less and I wasn't working a guaranteed 40 hours a week. When the full-time position hits, I'll be guaranteed 40 hours a week. I'll be making more money. So then I could bring a lot of things back into my life that I had to cut out due just purely to financial reasons.
Yeah.
So how about you? What filled your spirit?
So I talked to my mom yesterday and just spent a few minutes wishing her a happy birthday and talked with her for a few moments and really appreciated just getting the opportunity to talk with her and catch her up on some of the things we were doing and find out what they had done for her birthday. And it sounded like they had a very lovely day. They took a ride out to the country and spent some time in Amish country, which was a lot of fun for them. Spent a little time with friends, and then she had talked with myself and also my brother. So, but it was nice just to catch up a little bit and see how they were doing. So that was great. Really enjoyed it.
I had to make her happy because I'm sure her boys were headaches growing up. Now her boys, kind of.
I mean,
I just remember, who was it? It was at a church thing. I can't remember what the church thing was for. Was it? Oh, it was for their 50th anniversary.
Mm-hmm.
So I remember their 50th anniversary, and you and your brother, not the typical way, you know, your brother tends to wear Crocs and shorts all the way through winter.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember walking up there, and it was for their 50th anniversary. Was it their 50th anniversary?
Yes.
Okay. And I remember talking to your uncle, and he was like, "Oh yeah, Bunny," your mom's nickname, said, "Oh, don't worry about wearing a suit coat. My boys aren't going to be wearing suit coats." And both of you showed up in suit coats and dress pants with the ties. And I just remember that moment. I was just thinking, like, "Oh yeah, these are my boys. Like, that my boys are going to do this." And then to know that you both took that moment to do something that would make her so happy, was cute. Yeah. So I'm sure both of you calling her instead of just a quick text or something like that probably made her day even more wonderful.
Yeah, I hope so.
And that's what we have for this week. What do we have on deck for next?
Next week is actually going to be a combination of topics. So one, we're going to talk a little bit about using our emergency fund and how we had to use that. Two, we're going to talk about my real world experiment with goal setting that I've been doing on myself, and we'll talk about some of the results on that. And then three, you asked to talk a little bit about budgeting with your work timeline getting moved up a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
You wanted to sit down and start directing where your money was going.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think we can talk through that in real time. We can show some folks how we go through having that conversation.
That sounds awesome.
Fantastic. So join us then. And in the meantime, we hope you live a spirited life. The topics and information on A Spirited Life should not be taken as financial advice and should be considered for entertainment purposes only.